Okay, recording is in progress. Good afternoon, everybody. It's so nice to see you on a beautiful Sunday. It's sunny outside. I hope you're enjoying the springtime. I have to thank Gege for inviting me to do this presentation, even if she might not be able to make it here. But still, let me introduce myself real quick, and then we go around the room, just kind of introduce your name, maybe your school, your school year, and maybe share a fun fact about yourself. And also, don't forget your pronouns, all right? So I'll go first. My name is Shuhan Li. I am currently a master's student at Teachers College in Columbia University. So my pronouns is she, they. I finished my undergraduate school in NYU, so I've been living in New York for like 5 years. It's an amazing experience. And maybe a fun fact about me is I am currently in a journal editor at my school's, comparative education journal. So I am very much, a nerd. It's not, well, maybe it's not too fun, but still, like, I enjoy doing academic research, and I like to write cool articles about culture and about society. Sometimes technology and, imaginative AI. That's about me. So maybe let's go around the room and introduce yourself. Let's start with, I see Keran has her camera on. Maybe you can go first, and then if you want to jump in, you can raise your hand and then go around the room. So, Keran.
Okay. My name is Karen Chen. I'm a current freshman in Rutgers Prep, like a high, maybe she. One fun fact is I have 2 cats.
Oh, that's cute. Are they in your house right now?
Yeah, one of them is like making some noise, so.
Oh, I hope they keep quiet for the 2 hours. Okay, next up, who want to go? Or you can, wait, let's do this. You point to somebody and then they go next, and then they just keep the train going on. All right. So you may pick one from the crowd.
Denisa.
Hey, Denisa. Denisa, are you able to speak? If not, you can type in the chat. Or maybe we'll pick another one. Oh. Thanks, Denisa. Denisa types in her chat. Senior high school science and quantum computing. Thanks for sharing. Quantum computing, that's a cool word I want to know more about. So what is quantum computing? You may want to type in the chat so everybody can know what it is. Wow, that's so cool. I hope you enjoy that. And you can point to another person, maybe type in the chat their names so we can call them and then they can introduce themselves. Okay, Dylan.
Hey, my name's Dylan. I'm a freshman at Biotechnology High, and some hobbies I like to do, and I go by he, him, and some hobbies I like to do are sleeping and playing soccer.
Ooh, cool. Sporty. All right, pick one next person.
Xavier?
I'm a sophomore in a school at Maine, and I do some programming.
All right, who are you gonna pick? Next one. Any volunteer? Oh, no problem. How can I pronounce your name? You may want to type your pronunciation of the name because I don't want to mess up.
I think it's Karthikeyan.
Karthikeyan. Thank you, Karan. Karthikeyan. Thank you. Right. Anybody else want to go next? We have two people left. So if Gori and Stefia, if you want to type in the chat, you can go for it. Or if you want to speak up and just to let other people know, just unmute yourself and jump in. Okay, raise hands. All right, go for it.
Hi, my name's Dipakshi. I'm a junior from a school in Long Island, and I like coding and badminton.
Thank you for sharing. See, a lot of people love coding here. We have a lot to talk about. So I have something to share about coding.
I'll go next, if that's
Alright.
fine.
Yeah, sure.
My name's Gari. I'm a sophomore at Rutgers Prep, and my pronouns are she, her. I like sports. I like swimming and
Nice to meet you,
lacrosse.
Gori.
Yeah.
May I go next?
Mhm.
Hi, my name is Stefia George, and my pronouns are she/hers. I'm in 9th grade, and I go to Bergen County Academies. One interesting fact about me is that I really like computer science, and I'm interested in AI.
Thank you so much for sharing. I see Sarah is here. Sarah, you want to introduce yourself? Or you can type in the chat if you're not able to speak. All right. I guess that's everybody here, and thanks for sharing your facts. A lot of you like coding, a lot of you like computing, a lot of you like sports. So we have, a lot of different interests and we have a great crowd in here, and people from different backgrounds, right? We have people, we have people from, say, we have Asian, we have people from lots of ethnicities. So we love to see a diverse crowd in here. Just to kickstart for my presentation, there's gonna be, so I'm gonna structure my presentation in this way. So there's gonna be a sort of lecture slash interactive period style presentation here. And then afterwards, we're gonna leave some time for Q&A, conversations, discussion sessions, or if you wanna share some of your experience with AI or with, science, STEM learning, feel free to talk about it after, the presentation slides. So without further ado, I'm gonna share the screen here and proceed to my presentation. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm going to present you about critical democratized AI pedagogy for K-12. So before we dive in, I just want to acknowledge that, this idea, this wonderful program is a collaborative effort between me and Jordan Rozak, who is now teaching an AI ethics class at Carnegie Mellon University. So this will not happen without his help and our presentation was originally showcased at the Educational Advancements for Artificial Intelligence conference earlier this February. So I'm glad to re-present it here and to share more about our wonderful model to the inspiring youth presented today. So, when was the first time you heard about artificial intelligence, and what did you learn from your first encounter with AI? Any volunteers want to jump in, unmute yourself, or you can type in the chat to sort of share your experience. All right, Dipashi, go ahead.
I first learned about it in the summer of 10th grade.
So what did you learn about it? What kind of
So I was
AI?
referred by my teacher first, like learned about machine learning.
Machine learning.
I learned like the machine learning sector of it and how that works. So that's how I got introduced to AI.
So do you have any like specific, maybe an application or a specific example, or did you just learn about the mechanism of machine learning, like the nuts and bolts of it?
We created like this model with like a group of students, like that one was like predicting like coronary heart disease, and the other was like the quality of the milk you drink.
Oh, that's so interesting. You see, like even if it's just about milk, you can apply AI science to just your everyday object. Any other volunteer for sharing? Thanks for sharing, by the way. Any volunteer want to type in the chat?
I think my first encounter was a couple of years ago, and I was playing chess, and I was playing a chess bot, but this one was like AI trained and adaptive. So as I got better, it also got better, and I kind of creeped me out, but yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, definitely. The first time I heard about AI was this Go player is a chess that the AI beat a famous Korean Go player, and that was like, whoa, machine could really do something that can surpass human capacity. That was, yeah, as you said, a little creepy, but still, it's kind of cool. Let's get one more volunteer.
I'll go.
All right, go ahead.
I wouldn't say I really like learned about it in depth, but I say my first introduction to artificial intelligence, if you know Star Trek.
Oh yeah, I watched that movie.
The android, yeah, Commander Data. It was kind of cool, that artificial intelligence, like the way that they presented it there, that it could like talk and do all different things and have its own thoughts and stuff. And then obviously like ChatGPT kind of. So
yeah, I'm glad you brought about a science fiction, because a lot of us know about the cool technology, artificial intelligence, through fictional work. And as you said, ChatGPT, as I went to the conference, everybody was talking about ChatGPT. Some people were dubious about whether it's going to take over, academic writing, because some college students are using ChatGPT for their essays, and the professors are starting to grade it harsher. So how does that affect education? How does that affect, our writing ability, right? There's a lot to think about. And a couple of you get to know artificial intelligence probably just a couple of years ago. Is pretty recent, and you are probably at a very young age when you engage with this kind of technology. And we can see here just a few examples, right? You see humanoids that can behave and talk just like us, and you can see facial recognition being used in a lot of instances. Maybe your Instagram or Snapchat filter use facial recognition to generate all these cool effects. In some places, say where I'm from China, right? You can use facial recognition to pay your lunch. And you see generative AI, such as DALL-E, you type a prompt, and they generate this kind of outlandish, imaginative pictures of an astronaut riding on a horse. So we cannot deny the prevalent use and exposure to AI technology recently, right? So our educational research and educational research and practices need to also catch up. Just to give you a little background of why me and Jordan are doing this, is that right now, according to a 2022 literature review, a lot of the research on AI focuses on higher education, leaving now K-12 as an under-examined field. And it's also an emerging discipline in the academia, as a lot of you have mentioned, right? It's a recent years phenomenon, probably just around the past decade that is flourishing, right? But as technology is rapidly changing, as technology is seeping through every corner of our social life and even transform how we view and experience, interact with the society, our education needs to make some adjustments to keep up, right? So not only should the curriculum incorporate up-to-date ideas and content knowledge about this technology, but we also need to think about how we teach and how we learn. So the question leads to pedagogy. And for now, most prevalent pedagogy in CS, AI, or computer science learning, STEM learning, is through direct instruction. So I want to ask you this question. So have you taken any classes on anything, like maybe AI related or CS related? And how is the classroom structure, right? How do you learn about computer science or AI? Maybe we get 1 or 2 volunteer.
I'm currently taking AP Computer Science.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, I guess, a pretty small class, like 'cause my
Mhm.
school has pretty small classes, and the teacher he gives us like examples or like projects and stuff, and then we can
Mhm.
practice learned in class, but like in a hands-on experience kind of.
That's great, because you engage in hands-on project, but a lot of the research has shown that it's not very popularized. Maybe in your school, you have a relatively small scale and you have more opportunities to do projects. Teachers can be more patient with everyone. But I want to share some of my experience or observation in undergrad. Well, honestly, I didn't take computer science class because I was an econ major, but my computer science friends told me that in their class, there were about 100 or even 200 students in one class, especially in introductory courses. And all they did was just listening to the teacher's lecture and then finish the assignments and then take an exam at the end of the semester and call it a day, right? So that's probably empirically, according to a lot of the research, it's the most prevalent way that students learn about CS, not just in higher education, but also in other schools, other grade levels. You see the graphic here, right? Not too much hands-on activities are involved, not too much inquiry-based learning is involved. And so to put it in Paulo Freire's words, this kind of banking model where teachers just spoon feed the knowledge to students is a very limited way of teaching and learning, right? This kind of banking model stifles students' ability, agency to actively explore, create, and make a difference. So I'm glad that some of you guys are actually engaging with hands-on programs to solve problems. And that is really, really constructive to your personal growth, right? In general, we definitely need to change and we need to popularize your experience to different schools in other areas. So the question brings us to, how might we design a pedagogy of AI that is radically inclusive, and how might AI education include students from all different backgrounds and connect this technology to the greater social context, right? And so in our presentation, we have critical democratized education, right? The 2 keywords, and now let's break them down. So in terms of critical, we draw from the ideas of Dr. Amy J. Cole, who is a computer science professor at University of Washington in Seattle. Fun fact, she's a trans woman, so that's why her identity and her experience kind of brings in some fresh ideas to a sort of white Asian male-dominated field. So basically, she wants to embrace cultural humility and responsiveness in her curriculum and teaching. So in this way, they can validate the experience of all students from like different socioeconomic backgrounds, different racial identities, and gender identities. Eventually, this model is going to diversify the power, to shift the voice from a dominant social group to the more marginalized and more underrepresented populations. And now going back to Paulo Freire, an inspiring Brazilian educator who kind of coins the word critical pedagogy. He wants to, so we wanted to bring in a humanist perspective to the discourse around technology, which is often seen as some kind of inhuman or passive or emotionless object, right? And we want to encourage the students to join in critical inquiries, to think in a different way about AI technology, and then to challenge some of the stereotypes that AI can reproduce, and then to fix it and to make it contribute to the social progress. And then we have democratize. It's pretty evident. In other words, we just want to lower the entry barriers for students to learn about this technology. But that doesn't mean we want to, cut slacks on the assessment or just reduce the workload or something. Actually, we just want people to feel less intimidated about the subject and make students feel more confident in their own ability to excel and to progress, right? And then through developing this kind of age-appropriate and accessible learning materials, we are able to broaden the participation among younger learners. And more importantly, we cannot stress diversity, equity enough, because it's a constant, it's a widely discussed topic, and we must talk about it all the time. Essentially, we want to ensure equal access to learning opportunities for students of all backgrounds. So that are the two keywords. So these bring us to the key propositions. I know a lot of you do programming, right? Some of you enjoy coding, but a lot of times, for me personally, I probably don't want to code, and I assume some people will feel intimidated by the complicated coding language, or they just don't work well with numbers or symbolisms, right? So our model, our critical democratized model, is going to move beyond programming or coding as the prerequisite for learning AI. We cannot just bar somebody from learning about AI just because they cannot code, right? In fact, being a technology literate citizen or student can take on different forms, and coding, being able to code, is just one of these forms, right? We can diversify the methods that we can learn about AI and to be fluent in data analytics. And then following the same logic, we want to simplify the jargons, right? AI literacy can be taught without using fancy words or those complicated symbolic language in Greek letters or other, technical terms that can really shush somebody off, right? So by substituting these complex terminologies, we can actually open more opportunities for K-12 students to engage in the classroom, to feel more comfortable and at ease in this classroom environment. And so moving on, AI is not just a standalone subject, right? It is closely connected to other topics, such as, say, English writing, English language learning, or art, or biology, chemistry, everything. So we have to design a multidimensional and interdisciplinary curriculum. And in this way, students can simultaneously learn about AI and also enhance their performance in other subjects. So the curriculum design should not just confine itself in AI or STEM, but they can reach out to experts and teachers or curriculum designers in other areas. And finally, as I said, we want to move beyond this kind of test-based, test-oriented education, but rather dive into an inquiry-driven classroom learning. And some of you are doing that, which is absolutely awesome, because we teachers have to have faith in students as they are the agents of explorations and new discoveries. So there are 3 dimensions in this model. It draws inspiration from the critical computational expression, but we're just trying to simplify this technical term, this big academic term, into 3 questions. What is, what could be, and what should be. So what is stands for content knowledge about AI, the basics of AI, like how it works, how it's being used, what is the consequences, and such, just about AI. And what could be stands for creativity and innovation, right? You can use your imagination to generate visual art, to do creative writing, to write some music, everything that can utilize AI for your artistic expression. And then what should be relates to social justice, relates to social issues. I assume many of you are keen observers of the society, and you may notice sometimes AI can be used in a bad way, or it can harm people. So what should be wants to invite you to consider, how can we critically view AI and ethically deploy AI technology for social good, for sustainable development. And let's discuss the 3 questions one by one and come back to this magical intersection in the center of the Venn diagram. So what is AI? Before I dive into the details, anybody just can jump in and say, okay, what do you think about AI? What is AI to you in your own words? Any volunteer want to share what is AI to you?
It's artificial intelligence. So when I think of AI, I kind of think of like maybe a program or something learning from interactions, kind of. And then I guess you can use it for other things.
Yeah, that's great start. You actually cover a lot of the things on this big ideas. You talk about interaction, right? So we have natural interaction, right? Sometimes when we design AI, we have to think about how it presents naturally, how it can just behave like us instead of making some mistakes, right? When you talk to Siri properly, like sometimes Siri will not understand what you speak, or when you speak in a different accent or a different pronunciation, Siri might not be able to understand what you're saying just because of a different way of speech. So when you program an AI, you must consider like different ways that people behave, different cultures, just to diversify your data, or otherwise you're going to result in what we call the data bias. I see in the chat, machine learning, great. Dylan, can you elaborate on what does machine learning mean to you? Or you can give like a brief description of what you think that is. Anybody want to follow Dylan's idea to sort of describe machine learning, or what does machine learning mean? Great. Machine can take inputs and improve over time. Thanks for sharing. Those are great answers. Danissa mentions data. There are different forms of data, right? There are text, there are images, voice, basically information. Any forms of information can become data, and machine just kind of eats all this information, and then they start to generate a model and then produce output or results, right? And it can improve because the more they know, the more the machine knows, the more the machine eats on data, the better and the more representative they will get. For example, in reinforcement learning, we give feedback to the machine learning model to produce better results in the end. Yes, feedback. So there's a feedback loop, right? So maybe one loop ends and that informs the next loop to how it can become better, how it can introduce more data, more information to it, and then have like a better, like more representative output, right? Great, awesome. So a lot of you have a very great general idea of what AI is. Just for the sake of this presentation, I just want to say like everybody kind of knows sort of about the five big ideas of AI designed by Dave Tureski. It's a great way to kind of deconstruct the dense idea of AI and put it into 5 modules so that students have a well-organized learning about this subject. So perception, representation and reasoning, machine learning, natural interaction, and societal impact are the 5 components in this diagram. So a lot of you have a great idea of maybe about learning, about natural interaction, and some of you may have a clear idea of how the machine represents the world and starts reasoning, starts feedback, and then create results, generate results. But I want to stress that in this diagram, societal impact is placed at the center. So that means that in our discussion, AI must be studied in relation to the wider social, cultural, economic, and political systems, right? All of your content knowledge should revolve around the discussion on how AI technology can both positively and negatively impact the society. So just to segue to the next part, can maybe one or two of you name one example on how AI can positively impact society and one example for negative social impact on the society? Right? Can maybe one of you or two of you share an example? Yes. Medical field. Great example. Yeah, ChatGPT, as we said in the beginning, it may change how we teach or change students' learning, right? In medical field, we can just help decide, which medicine should be assigned to patients to give diagnoses that can actually help to make the diagnosis more accurate and more efficient. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's now move on to what could be, right? This is actually exciting because as we are now entering the age of generative AI, when AI art is a buzzword, we can think of how we can incorporate artistic education into our learning materials, right? So this is just a visualization of the steps of artistic AI learning, but essentially it means that students in this process become keen observers of their environment, and they start asking what if questions. So starting with these prompt questions, they then identify some problems, or they identify alternative ways to think outside of the box. So how can I do something differently? Can I create something new? They can use AI art to express themselves. Just recently, one of my peers in graduate school, she created a series of AI generated art to advocate for decolonization, advocate for land preservation, sustainable development, and all these meaningful topics. And I also want to share you an example of from my conference. So here is a little pamphlet that I got from Imagine AI. It is a project by University of Colorado Boulder. So they invited a group of 9th graders to engage in creative writing class. It's led by an English teacher. So students in this program talked about AI ethics issues, and they write short stories. So there are altogether 5 stories in this anthology. They cover topics such as the safety concerns of self-driving cars. They talk about the loss of maybe individuality in the age of AI algorithm predictions. And one of my favorite stories is about government using AI to track down personal information in the name of COVID prevention. So this is a nice segue to the next part, which is what should be. Because what if governments are collecting information that can infringe our privacy, right? What if police force is using facial recognition to identify criminals that can reinforce, a bias and prejudice structure, right? So we must think about the consequences of some biased AI, or how can we fix these problems and advocate for social justice. Since this presentation is originally targeted to teachers and researchers, a lot of the messages are, for them. So when I did this presentation, I got a lot of questions from teachers who wondered how to teach students about social justice issues, because they fear it's too sensitive or it's hard to explain to younger students. Well, actually, it's not that difficult. We have a framework called Social Justice Standards for K-12, just 4 keywords: identity, diversity, justice, and action, right? And when we put them into AI context, we can start by asking, how can AI bring about the themes that are personal to you, your cultural background, your identity, etc.? In this way, students can feel that they are part of the process, that they are involved, that their experience is seen and validated. So I want to ask you the same question, right? How does AI relate to your cultural background or your identity? And how can you use AI? How can you use AI to sort of, maybe introduce your culture to others, or design a project that is closely tied to your personal experience? Maybe we have 1 or 2 volunteers to share. Okay, so on the screen, you can see, how can AI bring about the themes that are personal to you, your cultural background, your identity, and how might you use AI technology to sort of relate to your experience, to create something that's related to your experience? Anything, is open-ended. Yes, sharing cultures using AI-generated imagery. These stories, ChatGPT, and accompanying them with pictures. Yes, through storytelling, right? Storytelling, artistic expression. Actually, what could be and what should be can go hand in hand, because a lot of us utilize artistic expressions to do social advocacy activism, right?
If you like an image, the algorithm will give you more images like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in a lot of the image generators, the images trained are not diversified enough. So what they generate is a limited or even stereotypical representation of a certain community. So as we design AI, we can definitely introduce a wider range of data from different backgrounds, of different forms, shapes and forms, to be more representative instead of stereotypical. All photos into AI video generator. Can you elaborate on that, Denisa? what do you mean by older photos in video generators, and what are you going to create through that? Memories. Great. Yeah, this is a great way to start a conversation, because we can actually use AI for archives, right? So what Denisa is trying to say is to put some archival photos, like people's memories or a collective community's memories, put that into AI and preserve it digitally, turn that into digital heritage, and then kind of disseminate that to different to all kinds of maybe museums, to online archives, through social media, so that more and more people will know about a particular part of history. That is very interesting, because when I was in the conference, there was a presenter talking about how their students designed a chatbot to introduce Black history to the audience, right? So it's kind of like ChatGPT, but it's a more upgraded version of that. So when students type in, "Can you tell me the history, say, about Martin Luther King?" and then that ChatGPT will generate a very detailed and representative account of Martin Luther King's advocacy. Or if you want to type about Black Panthers, or talk about empowering Black women, so they put a specific focus on Black women, because that is an underrepresented history. It's not widely taught in history books, or it should be discussed more. And so these students kind of just put more data on Black women history, and when students use that technology, they can learn more about the stories of inspiring African American activists. So you see, like, even if you're just writing in 1 or 2 sentences, some of you probably want to have more time to think about how to elaborate on that. It's actually a great first step, because you're actually you're identifying the social problems, and you're having a rudimentary idea of how you can utilize AI to advocate for good social courses, right? And these questions for teachers, what will you do? Teachers can ask students, what will you do with AI technologies to garner positive social impacts? That center student in the classroom, and allow students to really utilize their ability, to utilize their imagination and creativity, to become game changer, to become social changers, right? And just to synthesize and conclude my presentation, our critical democratized pedagogy for AI will remove the entry barriers for AI learning, and it will provide accessible materials for all age groups. And it utilizes an interdisciplinary approach that pulls together the talent from all kinds of academic subjects, and it brings together students from different backgrounds who can share their experience, who can contribute to the classroom with their diverse identities. And with the guidance of role models from the industry, students will not only have more comfortability in learning about AI, they have somebody to look up to envision themselves in the industries, but also they will be trained to become the future leaders of data activism, of boundary breaking artists, or to radically transform policies. And so that concludes this, very academic lecture, but still I'm trying to be, I'm trying to throw more questions to the students to make it more age appropriate. But, if you have any questions, you can ask in the following Q&A sessions. And here is my contact and my colleagues' contact. So if you want to learn more, you can shoot us an email or text us. We're always ready to chat. So now let's enter our discussion sessions. I don't want to talk a lot because I've already shared a lot of things. It's a lot to unpack. So I want to give the floor to all of you. You can have discussions among yourselves. Maybe you can share your experience, or you want to if you want to have some questions about any slides, you can ask here, and we can talk about it together. So the floor is yours. Any questions, comments, anything?
I'm just interested in like the book, all the
Oh.
freshmen thing. Yeah.
Yeah, this book, well, they gave us as a free gift for every attendee at the conference. I just leaned through, it's only 5 stories, it has 5 stories. And they are all written by 9th graders. So they are like people just around your age. I really enjoy this story called Code Orange, which I mentioned. It's about, so this protagonist called Michael, he got a message from the government saying, oh, you got COVID. Here's an orange code for you. You cannot leave your house and you have to stay at home. We ensure that you are not alone. Don't panic, blah, blah, blah. But he was actually freaking out because everybody else was like, oh my God, you got COVID. Because everybody else know he's got COVID, just because government has shared information to the phone numbers that's related to his. And so at the end of the day, he lost his opportunity as in a basketball match, I remember, if I remember correctly. So he lost opportunities just because he got COVID, just because there's no privacy of his condition. But the message is still a robotic language saying, oh, I assure you, you are not alone. Please don't panic. You got COVID, just stay at home, blah, blah, blah. So he was very frustrated. But then the story ends with he knew what he should do, that he texted his friends for help. So it kind of just tells us that, even if there's AI message that, that tells you, that's try to console you, oh, it's going to be okay, you still need human friends, you still need human interactions for your mental health. So this is a really revealing story. I kind of think of, it's not just the social aspects of government collecting information, but also, on the micro scale, right? The power of friendship, the power of companionship, right? That's the thing that AI cannot substitute. So this is a great book. It's a quick read. You can just read it in 1 hour, an hour and a half or so. It's all written. But I just want to show you that it's possible that you can probably say, maybe your English teacher, you can have like a creative writing workshop, if that's possible, and then you can talk about like AI ethics, or design a project that as we said in the chat, introduce history, preserve history, create a little archive for your community. There are tons of possibilities out there. Anybody else?
When you create a director of the AI, or are you considered the author?
You mean this book?
Yeah, well, any story, I guess. Like if you asked ChatGPT or the new Bing AI to like write you a story and then you published it, would you be considered like a director or an author?
That's a very interesting question. Because actually, I use ChatGPT for once. I just wrote like a little prompt for my fan fiction, and there's a limitation for fan fiction because it just lacks imagination, right? It just generates little essay-like story. Okay, so this is the character from certain franchise. Even if in the real story, this character did not do such and such, it is great to imagine that they did this and that. So if they were to do this and that, so it's just like it's structured like this. So I don't know, because I would say it's more like an authorship, but it's not necessarily an author because you are just providing the prompt. It's not your idea. So what I think about ChatGPT, I think about, okay, it might help you it might inspire you to say, okay, this is a prompt. They gave you some hint, but at the end of the day, you cannot just rely on ChatGPT to write everything for you. So if you really want to be an author, or if you really want to be a script writer, or anything related to art, you can use ChatGPT as an assistant for you, but they cannot do the work for you. if that makes any sense. But the question is, director or author, I feel like it's still author, because when I think of director, I think of, you know, films, right? But something close to film that you can use ChatGPT is, as I said, screenwriter or dialogue writers that write, you know, the script books. So have you written that? Have you done like ChatGPT writing, or just wrote a novel for you? Or if you
No,
have, oh,
but
you haven't.
I haven't tried it. That's something I probably should try at some point. But
Mhm.
I do know that like on Amazon, like I've
Yeah.
seen people create audiobooks with it, and like
Mhm.
they get it to write the audiobook, and then you just like say it.
Ah, I see. So ChatGPT write everything, and human voice do the voiceovers.
Yeah, and they made grammatically correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't read any like AI like ChatGPT audiobook, but I did see some people use ChatGPT to for their essays, like generate academic writings. Right now, I feel like creative writing for ChatGPT is still a little limited, because they cannot do wordplay. When you say when you let them tell a joke, you have to specify, please, this is a joke, or otherwise they're going to interpret it, you know, in another way, and just generate something completely related, or like just they don't get a joke unless you specify in the prompt that here is a joke, and then you type the joke. So there's a lot of things that ChatGPT cannot, you know, surpass human abilities, which is a great ethical concern. Anybody else have comments, questions, or just any like reflections or your experience with AI? Anything? Questions? Good. Or you can ask something outside of the presentation, or just about me is fine, right? Well, actually, we're using AI live right now in this presentation, because there's AI transcription chatbot. I don't know if it's in this thing, but you know, in my background, there's a chatbot running, so it's generating live captions of this presentation, and it can transcribe what I speak into notes. So after the meeting ends, there's a textual document of all our sessions today. So there's AI being used, right now, and it really ties into our daily life. It actually makes our lives better because for future reference, you can actually, see what we talk about. Anybody want to share some fun experience with AI? What's the best interaction with your machine friends?
One time I asked it to play tic-tac-toe, and it actually kind of worked.
Oh, that's interesting. Like everybody's playing games with AI. It's just like me with my Uno game. Sometimes I cannot connect to online game rooms, so I just play with 3 different AIs. They're pretty good. Like they can actually predict your choices. It's no less easier. It's no less easy than, it's no less difficult than, playing with real human beings. Because sometimes AI can actually get you with a lot of +4 cards. I saw a YouTube video about playing chess against ChatGPT, and it just broke all the rules and the legal moves. Oh my god! When ChatGPT cheats, that you can do nothing about it. Like, can you share a link to the chat so that everybody can see? It sounds very interesting, and it sounds like ChatGPT can get mischievous. Other than games, like any other like interaction with AI that makes you think. Right. Wrote a whole essay for my friend in the correct format too.
How to sound more confident in your writing.
So you wrote an essay with ChatGPT. That's a lot of people will do. I actually, let me re-admit this. Yeah, so actually, I recently saw a friend, like they're still in undergraduate, and I think it's a math class, and they did a test, and a lot of people use ChatGPT to answer the open-ended question for them. And so the professor sent a follow-up email saying like, so okay, so we don't have curves, like we don't adjust the grading criteria, because normally like if the average score is low, they will use a curve to kind of adjust the grading, final grading. But since a lot of people, since the TA kind of discovered that people are using ChatGPT, the professor decided that, okay, now that everybody is quote unquote cheating, I'm just not gonna give you the curve. So I have mixed feeling about this, to be honest. If everybody is using ChatGPT and generate high quality, grammatically correct, and formatically great articles, then it kind of just changed the nature of education or learning, right? It's cool. It's definitely cool, but and I think about, you know, how from a professor's perspective and from a student perspective, it's going to be a little bit tricky. Yes, exactly. That's unfair to people who don't use ChatGPT or who put into the effort to refine their skills, right? Great point. So instead of ChatGPT, we can talk about like voice agents like Siri. So anybody tried letting Siri tell you a joke or tell you a tongue twister or just play around with it? Yeah, exactly. I actually tell her jokes in like different languages, right? So I speak Mandarin and English. So when I tell her to speak a joke, tell me a joke in Mandarin, and tell me a joke in English, they have different pools of jokes. They are culturally relevant. So some of the jokes only work in one language, while not the other. So it's actually interesting to think about, you know, actually some programmers behind Siri is just entertaining themselves with all the different kinds of jokes and put that into the program. I actually let Siri rap for me one time. Somehow she just playing around, just be like, like making those random sounds to sound like she's beatboxing. But one time I told her to rap, she gave me a whole bar of like about COVID prevention, like just tell you need to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. They tell you to disinfect, to wear masks, and it makes a great rhyme, even if she's reading off it in a robotic voice. So that's actually interesting when you think about it, since, you know, she can keep up with recent trends and just include COVID-19, this hot topic, into its data. Anybody else want to share some fun experience with voice agents, or what do you think about this technology in general? Anything. There's no correct answer here.
I think it's kind of unfair to the person that, well, I'm thinking of Deep AI, I think it's called, but I think it's kind of unfair to the actual person. Like, you're on YouTube right now. There's a guy named Niall Green who uses a deep fake in order to make, like, basically Niall Red makes science videos, and he uses his voice in order to make videos. And only recently did he actually admit to it, but he some people actually thought this was like the guy Niall Red's channel, because he has Niall Red and Niall Blue, so they kind of just assumed that it was the same thing, but it wasn't. It was a different guy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the imposter. So like deepfake or voice AI can actually you know, facilitate those imposters to make pranks. So that can get really scary because it is so powerful that it can create a whole new person and do so many things. So powerful.
Yeah, and
great point.
It's also being monetized, which is even
Right.
like he's
It's
making
even,
money off.
yeah. It's even, so like you're making money off of somebody else's face without maybe the person's consent. So that is one big ethical concern, right? Yeah. Yeah, I should have mentioned facial recognition and deepfake. So there are I saw two different utilizations of deepfakes. One way is to spread misinformation, those very bad and scary use of deepfake, creating fake news, impostoring as other people. But I don't know if any of you have watched Kendrick Lamar's new MV, The Hard Part 5. So he actually utilized deepfake to kind of impersonate different rappers and different celebrities. I think it includes Will Smith, the late Kobe Bryant, the late Nipsey Hussle, and he used that to for his music video to kind of showcase, because the bars is talking about in the voice of these celebrities, and in the MV he is sort of embodying the speakers using deepfake technology. So that's one way that he uses it for artistic expression. So yeah, it's very interesting about deepfake. Anybody else want to share deepfakes? I think it's a great conversation starter to unpack a lot of fruitful discussions. Fake of Trump getting arrested, and I believe. Oh yeah, right. I heard about this too. Exactly. That's why I agree with Lipakshi, because it's getting powerful, it's getting out of control, and some people will use that to spread misinformation, create fake news. Well, there are fact checkers on social media to really demystify this. But imagine for older generations, right? For your father, for your parents, for your grandparents, they probably will buy into that, and that will create maybe fear, maybe panics, maybe shock, like all kinds of emotions. So we really need to think about just how we can manage these technologies to stop spreading misinformation, right? Oh yeah, I just saw this recently. I think this morning there was a picture going around with Pope Francis wearing a huge white puffer jacket, and people were making fun of that and saying like, "Oh, Pope got drip" or something. But that photo was later, clarified that it's an AI generated photo that is fake. It's not the Pope, because his ears gave away, because the ears has a weird anatomy, so that's a giveaway to AI generation. But for once, like when I saw this picture, I was like, oh my god, I thought it was real for a hot second. So it's really when generative AI got more and more accurate, it really could play tricks on your mind. Exactly, it looks so real. It's so deceptive, isn't it? And I see a lot of you talk about AI art, like using art to using AI generated pictures to express some culture, which is cool. But I heard from the conference, there's a very nuanced discussion about generative AI. So yes, DALL-E has very stereotypical representation of people of color. Say if you type, generate me an Indian man, and they will always give the pictures of a very dark skin with men with raccoon eyes and with the same bokeh hairstyle. So that's a stereotypical or even caricature of Indian men. So a lot of the Indian programmers, those individual indie programmers, they created their own generative AI to generate like photos of Indian culture, but the stereotype just shifts from a global stereotype to a local stereotype, because that kind of recreates this kind of the stereotypes of Indian clothing and accessories in the eyes of Indian people, right? So there's always bias. I guess there's always bias in every step of AI design and utilization. But it's always great to kind of reflect on that and then minimize the bias to reflect on the bias. Right. Anybody else hear about like things about AI art? Anything about AI art, like good or bad things about AI art? Has anybody, keep up with the discourse or discussions around this topic? Or we can, I actually want to share you a music video. If anybody can see, like can listen to music right now or see the screen right now. I'm going to share you a music video that uses AI generative, I think body motion pictures that create an MV. It's one of my favorite artists. She is always breaking boundaries with technology and using AI, new technology to really transform her music composition. So I'm gonna show you a video. Sure, after the ad. All right. I'm gonna share the screen and then share the sound. Just to, I guess a lot of you are tired. Tomorrow is Monday, so let's listen to some music which has AI in it, and then just kind of rewind and then get back to some more discussion if we would like. Let's see if I can share the sound. Share screen. Share screen. Share sound, yes. Okay, let's go. Yeah, so this artist utilizes, I think it's AI generated motions, but she intentionally keeps it like a little fuzzy, a little abstract. And I also like how she like arranged the audio to kind of fit into, you know, this kind of choppy electronica sound. Yeah, it was really amazing. And I think she also has a full like 3D AI generated animation video for her music video. So that's how I feel like, yeah, you can actually push the boundaries of art using artificial intelligence. So in terms of this kind of, you know, artistic expression through AI, do you have any, like, have you seen any of these things, or have you like play around with like generative AI with art or with music? Or do you know any software that can actually write a composition with AI? Because I don't see very much of it now, but it will definitely increase as technology gets better. Yes, exactly. When I went to the conference, I saw this I think it's a university from Hong Kong. They are doing music creation AI that you can create chord progression using your finger motions. But most of their presentation was pretty technical, so a lot of fancy words and diagrams that I don't even understand. But the idea is there, right? They are visualizing music, like those little waves, sound waves, and then EQ, all the other stuff, and then use finger motions and let AI to predict the chord progression and write a piece of music. There's a range of instruments you can choose from. There's the guitar, there's drums, and there's I think violin and all the string instruments. So it's very cool. Yeah. And I hope if you get a chance, you can get your hands on that one. Dylan, you want to speak?
Yeah, yeah. So on hello?
Hi, yeah, we can hear. Yes.
Okay. So on this thing called Soundtrap, it's made by like Spotify.
Oh yeah,
There's
I've heard about it.
there's an option where you can, like, I think it's in premium. I don't have premium, but there's an option where it gets an AI and removes like fuzzy background,
Mm,
removes background. from what you're saying. I guess that can be considered like if you're singing or making music, that could help make the music better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I heard about this because I don't have premium, but they always give me ads on Soundtrap, and they showcase some kind of like music production. Some will use it for beat making, some will use it for music recording. But yeah, it's definitely an AI powered software that can help music become cleaner, better, more attractive. All right. But I hope all of these softwares can be more accessible because right now, as you said, it's still premium based and you have to pay money for that. I'm actually interested in some of your projects you did in class because at the beginning you mentioned that you were engaged in project-based learning, you were creating something in your classroom. So maybe some of you can share, what you did in the process. What did you learn? Is there any obstacle? And how did you conquer that? Maybe just describe that and share your experience to let us know and discuss. And feel free to type in the chat if you cannot unmute yourself. Anybody want to share a project? Oh, no problem. Yeah, I know it's a long-term process. But do you have any like idea or like just a blueprint out there? Or what do you want to do with your project to solve what kind of problem? Ecology short stories, great. Actually, we want to talk about sustainability and ecology. Um, off the previous thing we talked about, he's a beat maker. Excellent. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out afterwards. Sounds pretty cool. Accompanied by pictures, board game sketch. Fantastic. Now, following on ecology short stories, and now that we're shifting to like sustainability and environmental issues, how do you see AI in solving environmental problems? Any ideas, examples, or some existing projects? Yeah, trash separation. That's a good way because it's a small step, and New York City is, I think they are implementing like different trash cans on the streets to kind of enforce this kind of trash separation mindset. And so with the help of computer, I guess it can educate the public about how to sort these trash and what goes into which bin. And I think it's a great way to make our lives easier. And they use machine learning to train the model recognize that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so like, is it like a kind of camera? Yeah, like it's kind of like a camera that's you can scan a piece of trash and it will shows on the screen. Okay, this is recyclable. This is toxic or okay. Exactly. That's actually pretty cool because you don't have to recite all kinds of tables just to categorize your trash, but you can, with the help of a camera, can say, okay, I saw a piece of this is a pile of trash here. I can easily just get informed and then put that into the correct trash bin. That's awesome. I feel like we can, especially in New York, we can popularize that so we don't have to spend too much time just sorting the trash. Anything else about environmentalist AI? Like AI with some kind of environmental awareness? Because I am interested in actually preservation and stuff. So land preservation, animal species preservation, a lot of these things. I wonder like how AI can be utilized in these fields. Text sensors, great. Growing plants and trees. Are you using them to track the growth of the plants and trees? Help with collecting data on species number. Yes. Great point. There are some solutions like automatic watering. Excellent. There is a very cool project that I saw during the conference in DC. I think it's also from Carnegie Mellon University. So there's a group of undergrads. They did like a biological tank. So they recreated like a small miniature of I think it's an ocean biology or something. So they have all kinds of planktons, plants and some little tropical fish in their mini like the fish tank, bio tank, and then they use AI to, as you said, document all these statistics like temperature, oxygen content percentage, and I think that growth rate, all kinds of statistics, and they use AI to track day by day, and to document the change, and they will automatically generate like a report at the end of the progress. So in this way, they can sort of explore, like, from this mini fish tank or mini bio tank, they can explore ways that preserve a certain, like, sea area, or like sea creatures, or marine ecosystem. Yeah. Recognition of dangerous people killing animals. Yes, so maybe like facial recognition of poachers, of like illegal ivory dealers, or these kinds of illegal people harming the natural habitats. That's a great way of using facial recognition, but be aware that maybe we don't want to identify the wrong people. So we have to refine the facial recognition if we want to utilize it in criminal justice, right? But that's a great point. Also, I want to share with you a cool thing that Le has created. She's unable to make it, but still, I want to give credits to her amazing project called digital storytelling, which I think it kind of ties into our discussion just now. So many of you have ideas about, like, using AI to solve environmental problems, but again, on the more artistic side, AI can be used for, like, storytelling, healing, mental health, personal expression, that can actually illuminate the idea of sustainability and environmental awareness, right? So I think this is, yeah, AI generated photo of some kind of environmentalist ideas. I feel like in this photo, the artist is trying to embody Mother Nature, the power of femininity, nature, and just life. So I think this is AI generated photo. Yeah, this is the artist. She's really amazing, creating all kinds of. This is I think this is a project where she asked students, what do you think of environmental problems? And she just, like, took all the keywords, generating prompts, and just let the AI do the job. And there's this photo of a polar bear in a global warming like environment that kind of calls the attention to the global warming issue. Here is it's also, like, Mother Nature embodiment of environmental awareness, mountains, landscapes. If you have any like comments or reactions, you can type in the chat or jump in to say, how do you feel about these? And maybe some of you want to start a project or start a little creative program that express this idea of environmental awareness. Well, after seeing these photos, these AI generated art about sustainability, Mother Nature, and environment protection, what stories do you want to tell using AI about sustainability? What are your stories about sustainable development and environment using AI technology? Any ideas? You can just name some keywords, or you can just give a little 1 sentence, 2 sentence descriptions. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Xavier, for mentioning hope, because that's also, I think that's what we see. Like, it's not, because a lot of the environmental storytelling is always about fear, always about a kind of crisis. But in Andrea's work, hope is therapeutic and is uplifting and really calls for our action to make changes. Yeah, action speaks louder than words. Yes. Cut down forests, not going to school. Oh, that's sad. Yeah, especially the loss of deforestation, right? And also noise pollution. I live on the Upper West Side, and there's just sirens every day, every night. I think the noise volume is too loud, and in the city especially, noise can actually harm a lot of natural habitat of animals and even like residents, right? You could use AI to show that the future could look like with more sustainable efforts versus less sustainable efforts to make people aware of the differences. That's a great idea. Yes, since a lot of these works are like, more of a forward-looking, a bright, hopeful future, but we can actually show comparison to call attention, right? So great observation, great idea, Gory. Yeah, because a lot of people don't actually believe, that the effectiveness, like the influence of global warming. But if we show using AI art or AI generation, like, okay, so if we stop global warming before 2030, this is what, say, the ocean will look like, or this island country will look like if we stop global warming. But if not, that show like probably the loss of land, disasters, all kinds of mishaps happening. So the stark comparison will actually call people's attention. So that's really great idea. Join a project for planting trees. Awesome. So you are putting that into practice. And I hope I think there a lot of people will respond to that. It's a great initiative. I remember when I was in undergrad, we went to Brooklyn for community work. So we planted trees in the neighborhood to beautify the streets and also kind of restore some kind of ecological welfare to the community, because in the inner cities, a lot of deforestation is not too much greens over there. So by planting trees, it will provide them with, more fresh air, better look, more energy in the community, in the neighborhood. Yeah, see, it can be just planting trees, creating art, using AI to tell your stories. So all of these things are actionable, and as Delon has said, action speaks louder than words. When the future youth, like as I said, the game changers, the future leaders, engage in these projects, even design these projects, we can actually see a brighter future, to say at least. Anybody else want to share? It can be about sustainability, or it can be anything about AI applications, your interactions with AI. A lot of things you can talk about. So just jump in whenever you want. Anything about me that you want to know more about? You can ask whatever you want. We have maybe 5 minutes. So we have 5 minutes more to go, and maybe we can use these 5 minutes to really share, what you have learned from today's session. I know it's a little complicated in my presentation because I thought the audience would have like some teachers in the audience, but just share out how do you feel, what have you learned, and what in the future will you do with AI. Okay, no problem, Sarah. Oh, I hope your dog gets better. Sorry to hear that. All right, see you, Sarah. Oh, no problem. I see a lot of people have other plans on Friday at 5 o'clock. All right, thank you so much for participating. All right, I guess many people have stuff to do at 5 or maybe like sometime soon. So we can end it right here. So if you have like a final thought, comment you want to say, jump in or type in the chat. Yeah, it's great talking with you. And I know it's a Sunday, people are getting prepped for Monday, so I understand that there's there are people are having other things to do. But yeah, if you have any other thoughts, jump in and type in the chat. And if not, then we can, oh yeah, Dylan. I like the graphic with the mixing field of AI. It's like RTech. Yeah, exactly. That's actually a really great model. It's only came out like last year. It's a very recent literature. So I guess like as we move on with our pedagogy, it actually can serve great use to refine our curriculum. But I'm talking from like a teacher's perspective. Or maybe like you can use this information, use today's diagrams to actually inform, if you can, or inform your teachers about like, okay, we can actually collaborate with, say, your science teacher with your art teacher or your English teacher, and we can have like a creative writing workshop about environmental storytelling through AI ethics or through the use of AI, right? So here are just some ideas, and I think a lot of you have a preliminary ideas of what you want to do with AI to protect the environment, to tell stories about your history, or to preserve some kind of collective memories in your community, your neighborhood, or even just to solve like social injustice, right? So you have the potential to imagine, to create, and to make changes. So I think that as you go up, as you pursue your academic progress, or throughout your life at high school, you may want to think about these possibilities and to realize that you have the potential, you have the capabilities to make a difference in the world. And I appreciate your participation. I know a lot of my materials are a little bit too up there in the academia, but I hope you can take away some insights from this presentation. And so if you don't have final questions or comments, we can call it a day, and I hope you enjoy the coming week. I know like we are approaching the final weeks of the semester, so good luck on your study. I hope you enjoy your learning and maybe explore more about the wonderful AI applications out there.
Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much for
Thanks.
participating. Yeah, it's great seeing you. Enjoy the wonderful afternoon, the sunlight out there. get more vitamin D in your body.
Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right. I'll see you next time if we have more opportunities to talk. We love to talk about AI, ethics, applications, art, anything. So see you later.
Thank you. Have a nice day.